Okay, so this is going to be a quick video on how to do the texture overlay on Celebrity. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to make a new folder on the desktop and we are going to call it photography. Right click on the desktop, select new folder, and type photography. All of your projects are going to be saved inside of the photography folder. The next step is to go to the public drive. So if you go all the way down to the bottom and click on the blue square, I'm using a Mac, so it's a little bit different. But if you go to the bottom, click on the Microsoft logo on the blue square, or you can press Ctrl N to open up a new window. And on the left, find this PC, then go to public drive, and here's the public drive. We are going to go to number 2, photography, and copy the psychology of color textures. Select the folder, press Ctrl C to copy the folder. We are going to paste it inside of your photography folder. So I'm going to close that folder, go to your photography, and press Ctrl V to paste the psychology of color textures inside of your photography folder. Okay, so let's go ahead and launch Adobe Photoshop. So at the very bottom, click on the search engine and type in Adobe Photoshop and go to File, Open. And let's navigate to the desktop, double click Photography, double click the psychology of color textures, and double click Public Figures, and open up Ansel Adams sample.jpg. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to make the image mode RGB. So just to double check, go to Image at the very top, go to Mode, and make sure that you have RGB selected. If it's not RGB, then this project won't work. If your photo is not in black and white, you are going to have to make it in black and white for this assignment to work. This picture is already in black and white, but just in case, let's just say your photo is not in black and white, you can go to Image, Adjustments, Desaturate. And you're not going to see a difference here because the photo is already desaturated because it's black and white. But if your photo was in color, that's how you make it black and white. Now we're going to place a texture on top of this photo. So let's go to File, Place Embedded. Let's navigate back to the desktop, go to Photography, go to the psychology of color textures, and pick any color that you want. I'm going to pick orange because this photo that we're working on is Ansel Adams, and Ansel Adams was a really cool photographer. He had a lot of energy, he was friendly, he was nice, and I feel like orange represents his personality. So with the embedded texture, you're going to click on a corner to resize the photo. So go ahead and resize it until you cover up the photo. Then you're going to press Return to commit. So in the layer panel, we are going to change the blending mode, and you can pick any blending mode that you want. So this is going to be the layer panel here. This is the blending mode where it says normal. So go ahead and experiment. Go through different blending modes and pick the blending mode that you like best. I like soft light. I feel like this makes the photo look vintage. It looks antique-ish. So this looks really good. We added some color to the black and white photo. We added a texture to it. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to add text. In the toolbar, we're going to select the text tool, and this is the text tool here, the letter T. So go ahead and click on the letter T and click anywhere on the image with the text tool and start typing. And you're going to type any quote from your subject. So for Ansel Adams, we're going to pick one of his famous quotes, and that is, "You don't take a photograph, you make it." So let's go ahead and type that in. And this is how you type. With the text tool, you're going to click on the artboard one time. I'm going to type in, "You don't take a photograph, you make it," Ansel Adams. Okay, so this is our quote, and I like it. I just don't like where it's at. We need to move this text. This is how we move the text. On the very top, you see the check mark. Click on the check mark one time, and we're gonna select the selection tool. This is the selection tool up here. Click that one time, and we're gonna move the text wherever you want. Something like this. And I still don't like my text, so this is where we edit the text. In the layer panel right here, you can double click the T to select the text. And with the text tool still selected, I can click anywhere. And by the way, I just made a typo here, photograph. That should have one R, just like that. So you don't take a photograph, comma, I might put an enter there. So I'm gonna hit backspace, enter. Now it reads, you don't take a photograph, you make it. I'm really liking this. So again, I'm gonna select the move tool, and I'm gonna move this somewhere right here in the middle. You can double click the T right here in the layer panel to select the text. If you go to window, character, you have your character panel here. You can change the size to your text, or if you click on the T, if you click to the right, you can make the text bigger. If you move it to the left, you can make the text smaller. So I'm gonna do something like this, and you can change the color here if you want to. You can pick any color you want. I'm gonna go with that bright orange. I'm gonna press OK. I'm gonna click the check mark at the very top to commit to my changes. Now we're gonna add some effects to the text. So make sure that you have the text layer selected. And at the very bottom of the layer panel, you're gonna click on effects, and I am going to go to stroke. And for position, make sure that you have outside. And for the color, I'm gonna pick white. I'm gonna press OK. For the size, I'm gonna pick 10. Let's go ahead and add a drop shadow. So I'm gonna click on drop shadow. And for the distance, I'm gonna move this something like that. And for the size, I'm gonna make this like 32 just to blur out the shadow. And for the opacity, I'm gonna pick 75. And I'm gonna press OK. Okay guys, so it looks like we are pretty much done with our texture overlay on a celebrity. In this case, we had Ansel Adams, a famous photographer. We started with a black and white photo. Then we added a color texture. We changed the blending mode. Then last, we added some text to the photo. The last thing we're gonna do is we are going to save our work, and we're going to turn this in. So first, let's save our work. So let's go to File, Save a Copy, and make sure that you're saving this inside of your photography folder, inside of the Psychology of Color Textures folder. So for the name, we are going to start with your last name, your first name, underscore PSYCH underscore number 1. For the format, make sure that you select Photoshop and press save. Then press OK. So you saved your work as a Photoshop document. Now we're going to save a JPEG, and we're going to turn this into the drop-off folder. And this is how you turn in your work. Go to File, Save a Copy. For the format, select JPEG. We're going to keep this the same name, which is your last name, your first name, underscore PSYCH underscore number 1. The only thing that we're doing is we're changing the format to JPEG. So this is how it should read. In my case, it's going to read Leah Frankie underscore PSYCH underscore number 1 dot JPEG, and press save and press OK. Okay, so let's see if we saved our file correct. Go to the desktop, double click your photography folder, double click the Psychology of Color Textures, and inside of here you should have your last name, first name underscore psych underscore 1 dot JPEG. We want to copy this because we are going to turn this in. So copy that by pressing Ctrl C, copy the JPEG file. Then we're going to go to the public drive, go to Dropbox, and go to whatever period you're in. If you're in period 1, double click period 1, find the texture overlay folder, double click it, and press Ctrl V to paste your assignment inside of the texture overlay folder, just like this. So just make sure that your name is on it, because if your name is not on it, you will not get credit for this assignment.